what I'll tell you is most sales reps today are not good at that task like they were 15 and 20 years ago, because that's the way they had to sell. So you look at the number of salespeople today than they were 15 or 20 years ago. There's about 4 times the amount. Well, because everybody wants to be in sales. Well,
because of the money. Yeah, but they're not as good as what they used to be in terms of sharpening that skill.
Yeah, because you had to constantly, every sales call, you're evolving, you're changing. And I don't know that salespeople today do that. Like, I don't think they walk into a sales call and go, oh, was that? Because think about it. If you have a salesperson that's out on the road today and they're not somebody riding along with them to coach them, how else do they learn it? They go into a sales call, they leave, and they go, oh, felt pretty good. And, I thought it went good. I like me. And, he asked me to come back. But they never end up with a sale.
Hey guys, Jeremy, the online ads guy here, founder of Digital Goliath Marketing. Thanks for coming back to check out another episode. This show is geared towards businesses revving between 300K to maybe 2 mil. That's what we're going for. Today I have a super experienced sales director, ex-sales director. He has his own company now that consults in this area. So we haven't had someone in the sales department on here before. I like this guy because when we did a pre-interview, he's in sales, but he's not in that pushy kind of sales role. So I really wanted to have him on. And yeah, it was a good chat. Definitely give it a listen if you have curiosity in that area. All right, guys, welcome back. Another episode of the show. Jeremy here, founder of Digital Goliath Marketing, the online ads guy. Today, I'm joined by Chad Paris. How you going, man? Good?
Good, Jeremy. How are you?
I love it. Yeah, good, man. So, founder, CEO of Stonefly Consulting Group and a host of Process Over Pressure podcast. After 15 years in the executive seat, driving over 37 million in revenue growth, Chad walked away to help founders fix a broken process, quietly draining their revenue, and put AI where it actually works instead of where it just adds hype. The hill he's willing to die on is that Chad feels most sales problems are really broken process in disguise. I want to, because I was just saying to you how we've had branding people, messaging people, other advertising people, SEO people on the show, but I always wanted to get a salesperson here that's not too salesy. Do you know what I mean? Not about the 5 closes or manipulation tricks or the double negative questioning to get a no to get to a yes, that type of shit. I don't believe in that stuff. So it's good because during our pre-call, I thought it was great because you were a pushy type of guy and you came from another industry altogether. Right. So you weren't into that. Yeah. So I'd love to hear more about your history, man.
Yeah, great. I started out, I guess I'm always been an educator at heart. I started out as a school teacher and school administrator and then got into sales. Yeah, I think I learned a lot of the core foundations to what really makes someone a good salesperson, in my belief. Because in education, you have to constantly be willing to learn. You have to be willing to be able to kind of self-examine. And so I've always brought that approach, even as a sales leader for organizations, a different perspective, a different way. There's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of great things, and there nothing wrong with those. I think my perspective is a little different in the way I analyze and look at salespeople. And we could talk more about that, but I think it comes back from that education perspective that really helps me to look at that a little bit different and the way that I process through what's a good salesperson and what's a good tactic.
Yeah, cool. So you were a leading salesperson, you actually raised sales teams.
Yeah.
Right. So you
absolutely.
actually recruited them, hired them, trained them, right? And then, so before we get into the business side of things, like how small and medium-sized businesses can help from your experience and knowledge, which you're going to do a lot of, which you currently do professionally, you're right. So when you look at sales the traditional way, 15 years ago, right? How you brought people on and all that until how you evolved, what's the biggest thing that you see?
Well, I think, it all starts with the way that we think about who we're selling to and the way they buy today. It's totally different. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, the way people, whether that's a B2B or a B2C, the way they had salespeople call on them, it was a different animal at that time than it is today. We have kind of evolved as far as what our appetite is for taking a sales call.
Yeah.
You know, people are very hesitant to get on a sales call. They don't like pushy salespeople. They want to talk to them. Like there's this stigma, right?
Yes.
Whereas 15, 20 years ago, it was, hey, come in, sit down, let's talk about it. You know, let's have a cup of coffee, smoke a cigarette, whatever, and talk about sales. And that's the way it was done. And so what's happened is the way the buyer has evolved. Most sales teams haven't evolved with that. And and so the strategy that, you know, you all these people write these books about the close this, you know, there's Mad Men. Listen, they're all great. Yeah. But that was a different sales model than it is today. And so, and not only that, but even the people that we are asking to go into the homes or into places to sell is totally different. And so if we don't look at, you know, where we are today, you really can't. You kind of beat a lot of people beat their head against the wall because they can't get the improvement in sales. It's because they're still trying to sell the old way.
Right. Okay. Cool. So back then, if we think about like AI and everything like today, right? If we go all the way back like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when it wasn't prevalent at the time, and you sit there and you go, man, if I had that tool to do this, or whatever. Like, do you ever have those moments like back then? You said, man, I just wish I had that tool, but we just don't have it. But now, like, I kind of have it.
Absolutely. I think, you know, let's go back 10, 15 years ago. Let's just do that. Start thinking about sales at that time. The ability now to research someone and have an understanding of what their business does and who you're actually walking into that call, we didn't have that. Like, you know, CRMs that are out there were built around information in to regurgitate back to you. Nothing out there. Of course, I have an AI CRM that I've got that is basically where it's taking AI and learning that person even before you have that phone call. So whether you would put in a CRM, you know, John loves donuts and he lets people come between 10 o'clock. Like that's the way we used to use a CRM. That doesn't matter anymore because it's more of like, you got to know when you walk in the door what they're really good at, like a history on their company, like almost kind of have to know that before you even walk in there.
So you have to be more like equipped,
more knowledgeable, more of, you have to, I think if you use some of the tools and resources that are available today, you can pretty much lay out what the objections are before you even go in there. Versus trying to go in there and do a lot of research and understand and then having to be reactive on the spot.
On the spot. So back then it was a bit more on the spot, whereas now it's more, what's that word, methodological? You can, you know, for example, if I was calling on you today, I could learn everything about Jeremy Yang before I ever had on a phone call with him. I would know, like, you know, where he's from, what he does, who he is, because, you know, you have a company website and so on and so on. And most people that you call on do. And so when you pick that phone call up, that you have that cold call or that first time meeting with them, you already walk in with a little bit of who this person is. And know that, well, you kind of can learn and tell like what your, you know, feel like your objections would be, and then you'll be able to kind of route through those. Years ago, if I walked into your office, I'd have to read the room and like, okay, well, he likes this, you know, he likes Jordan, he likes shoes, he like, you know, and then be able to relate and have a relationship. It's still relationship building, but you have to do that on the fly. And what I'll tell you is most sales reps today are not good at that task like they were 15 and 20 years ago, because that's the way they had to sell. So you look at the number of salespeople today than they were 15 or 20 years ago. There's about 4 times the amount. Well, because everybody wants to be in sales. Well, because of the money. But they're not as good as what they used to be in terms of sharpening that skill.
Yeah, because you had to every sales call you're evolving, you're changing. And I don't know that salespeople today do that. Like, I don't think they walk into a sales call and go, well, was that, because think about it. If you have a salesperson that's out on the road today and they're not somebody riding along with them to coach them, how well do they learn it? They go into a sales call, they leave, and they go, oh, you know, it felt pretty good. And, you know, I thought it went good. And I liked me, and, you know, he asked me to come back, but they never end up with a sale. And it's like, you know, how many times you got to do that before you realize, like, they just like you because you bring free donuts. Like, they're not buying anything from you. And without that instant coaching for somebody to ride along with you and go, hey, dude, they just got you. You're just buying donuts for them. You're not moving the needle along. Or, we do the same thing and we just keep doing it, thinking for a different outcome. And we're not evolving or adapting. And you're not using a lot of the tools that could be out there to help that. Or you're not coaching them or training them that way.
Got you. So your thing, so basically when we're talking about like, you reckon it's a broken process in disguise. So when you go to fix businesses, etc., it's like you are identifying those things instead of just pushing them on sales techniques kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think a prime example is like a company. When you look at gaps, right? Let's say that I was going inside your company and wanting to understand, like, first of all, the founder, the CEO, the owners, they walk into a meeting and go, hey, sales are down. What's the problem? And so then you got a bunch of room of people that are SVPs that are sitting there going, well, the market's slow. Well, so-and-so is not a great sales rep. But they have no like real tangibles to tell you market's down. This is why he's failing. Like they don't say that. Like think about it. They all just like, okay, so they leave that meeting and they're like, they didn't move any further with solutions. They're still talking about this 6 months from now, and it's the same conversation they're having. Yeah. And so it's a process problem. And so what I do is I go in and I hear like what's happening, what's going on, and I point out to them in a nice, very, here is where you're missing the gap. Like this is what's happening. Again, it's for them to look at it, and if they say, yeah, you're right, or we're wrong, or whatever, that's fine. They should be engaged in it. Yeah. But very often they have people in their team that actually will point out deficit. They want to say, well, yeah, but we're doing this, we're doing that. So what I like to do is to give them real examples of where there could be better. Yep. And then how do you get there? Because it's one thing to tell them where the problem is. It's another thing to tell them where the problem is and how the solution to fix it. And I like to be able to tell them, hey, here's the problems that I see, and here are the solution how to fix that. Yeah, that's what I think makes it unique.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the SMEs that you go to, like let's say, like, give some practical examples. Are we talking about a team like maybe the owners doing their own selling? That's probably the smallest one. Like the owner's the rainmaker. He's got a few executors behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would
that be a good example?
So this is a real example. Like let's take a small business, $10 million or less, right? Yeah. You usually have an entrepreneur on, someone who started something. They're smart. They're brilliant people. They built this, and so what do they always do when they start to grow? The first thing is they go, well, we need to hire a secretary, or we need to hire somebody to answer the phone. Yeah. That's one. Second is, okay, well, we're really growing. Now we got to bring on a bunch of salespeople. So let me go hire a sales director. And so they go, I see it all the time. Well, now we've got a sales director, a marketing director, operations director. We got all these directors. And I'm like, oh, that's great. So what are they feeding you when you walk into the board meeting or to the executive meeting, and you're the CEO and you're sitting there and you're going around the room and you're thinking about strategy of what you're going to do? What are they giving you? Because if they're looking at you going, yeah, Johnny's a really good salesperson. I think he's going to do a really good job this month. That's not beneficial. That's not how they're doing it. That's not a playbook. And it's very common. They just hire people and say, okay, you're the sales director. You're smart. You came from a great business. Now go get a sales team. Yeah. Well, the gap's still broken because they may be selling the way that he did 10 companies ago, and that's not your vision or your structure. So you got to understand, what is it you want to do, your structure, and then develop people within that group that's like, okay, this makes sense. Like that, like we're all singing the same song and we're all moving along. Otherwise, you're just putting a Band-Aid, or you're putting a tool on top of a broken process, and guess what? You're just getting chaos. If you're sitting in a board meeting all the time and you feel like you see the same thing, you just kind of want to hit your head against the wall because nothing's changing, chances are you got a really bad broken process, and you got to stop, analyze, fix, or it's not going to move forward.
So the thing that they should have done before the salesperson hiring a director and all that is they should have try to get the vision first.
Yeah, I mean, so you're the entrepreneur, you're the builder, you're the guy who created this. You know what your intent was for it to do. I built this. I built this widget to do this. Yeah. And this is why I built it. Like, let's go back there. Let's start there, and let's say, okay, you built this for this reason. All right. What is the message that you're doing today? Sometimes they don't know because they're so busy involved in it. You may have to go talk to the people out in the shop. You may have to go talk to the people at the front desk. Like you got to start. You got to kind of start interviewing all of these other people to really understand where the gaps are. It's okay to be wrong, but because you may not know all the answers. You got all these people now working for you, but they can articulate it. And I use this as an example. If I was talking to a sales team and they were like, man, we spend most of our time, I ask this question all the time to a salesperson when I'm looking at a company. I'm just using this as an example. Yeah. Where are you spending most of your time at during the day? And I get all kinds of different answers. Well, we're always on meeting calls, or I spend it on a bunch of emails. I sit at my house answering a bunch of emails. Yeah. So they end up with all these different answers, and each one of them, they could be in the same company. And then you start looking at those in a big, big pile, and you're thinking, well, no wonder our sales are down, because they're spending more time doing clerical stuff than they are doing sales stuff. You think if you got 40 hours in a week and 36 of it's on clerical, well, you're only selling 4 hours of the day, your sales aren't going to be really good. And that's common. That happens all the time.
I can imagine having a conversation with companies and people doing that. Because I can imagine me being the CEO and not knowing like what these guys are doing running around,
Yeah, because you're listen, when you're the CEO and you're at the top, I mean, your job is to run the whole organization. Yeah. And you got board members that you got to go talk to. You've got, there's a lot of things on your plate, right? And very often, I hear it all the time. People are like, well, I'm going to promote so-and-so because he's been loyal to me. I'm all for promotion. Yeah. But to what detriment? You got to know, and this is where I try to help owners and CEOs, like, let's walk through what you created, who you want to be, what is true passionate to you. If there's some flaws in that, let's tweak that before we start developing other layers of responsibility, because that is who you are and who you want to be. Then that's where we got to build it, and then have the people that are saying the same things when you're not in the room. Otherwise, you get a bunch of mixed messaging, and it becomes, well, we should just drop the price on the product. Well, nobody wants this product. Well, let's go back to why we built it. Let's see we're forgetting why we built the product, and it's all about a price. Well, but you didn't fix the solution. The solution is the why we built this. Yeah. And it ends up becoming this up and down all the time, and it never moves forward.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that's a really good insight, because now it sounds almost like maybe that's just one small aspect of your business and your role, but it also sounds like you are kind of like coaching the boss as well a little bit through a few things.
It could be. I've got clients where I deal. the CEO is texting me all day and asking questions. And they're ready to pull their hair out because of frustration, right? It could be where I have it's more at the sales director level or the operations level. Everybody, certain size companies, they want leads. They want more leads. They want more leads. They want more leads. Well, great. I have a great lead generation, nothing like anybody else. And I can turn that on and develop I can get you as many leads as you want. But if there's no execution behind the lead, how good is the lead?
Yeah. I feel you.
So is it a lead problem or is it an execution problem? Because if I give you 30 good leads tomorrow, are you going to be able to close them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then you find out the inside sales teams is they all sell differently and they're not really on message.
Yeah. That's another reason I wanted to chat as well, because me as an advertiser, we can get leads for people as well. Yeah. But we are like me. I can't say we as I speak for other people. But me, I don't know like how to improve someone's sales process. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I won't be able to speak with authority on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always comes down to, when you talk to a sales director, they're always saying, well, if I had more leads, I could close more deals. Yep. And then you talk to the marketing director and it's like, well, if you would close the deals I gave you, we could get you more. It's always that fight. And and there is some truth to both sides of that. But it goes back to, let's just take it as simple as this. One lead is worth what? I ask this question all the time. What is one lead worth? Yeah. You know how many people can answer that?
No.
None.
Not really?
I never get that. I never get an answer to that.
Wow. Okay.
So if I asked you're not a salesperson, I said, what is one lead worth? Do you know a monetary number on one lead?
Yeah, I have a good idea because I do the divisions back on how many leads I close, etc. Yeah.
Okay, so if we're going to let's just consider for jokes that one lead is worth $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I gave you 20.
Yeah.
And you only close one.
Yeah.
Well, your ROI is not good, right? You would agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it a lead problem or is it a sales problem? Chances are it's in the messaging. It's on the follow up. It's on the flow. It's on all these things that we're required to keep memory of that we need to do that we just don't do, because that's where AI comes in. Is it again, remember, is it a process issue? Because putting AI on top of a broken process isn't going to fix it.
No, it's not. It's going to amplify it, isn't it? That's what you said the other time, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So now we'll go back to AI and talk about like how that's fixing it. So I think there's a stage, which me and you were talking about, how there has to finish at a stage where human comes in again and finishes it, right?
Absolutely.
So is there a clear line in your like philosophy around this stuff? Is there a clear line where you say, okay, this is where the AI has helped or it can help? Now it's up to you.
I know we're kind of talking a lot about, I mean, I do a lot more than just sales, but we're kind of talking about that today. So I'll use that as kind of a scenario.
Yeah.
With the way that the world operates today, everybody's very digital, right? They're on their phone. They're easy access. You can Google, you can search, you can Claude, you can do anything you want to do to find the information. So if I'm getting a lead, and let's say I've hired Jeremy, you're getting the leads to me, and now they're coming in, and now I'm the salesperson. Well, my job is, there's a couple things that happen. We have to first understand, are the leads we're getting to Jeremy a hot lead, a warm lead, or kind of a cold lead? There's a very big difference, right? Oftentimes, the reason that Jeremy can't dial in his leads is because I'm not giving him feedback to tell him where the lead is I need better on this, right? Because you can dial it in, but if you can't articulate that, you can't. So I think that is a scoring system that you could do with AI that would give you because what it can do is I can create it where it will grade you, and it will start finding. It will say, this is your perfect client. This is your perfect client. Like anything repetition is a great place for AI. It helps to accumulate that, right?
Yeah.
The human touch of that is where I'm giving you this information, telling you that this is an ideal customer. This is perfect. Here is your sales playbook to that. This is how you're going to talk to them, right? Now we got a human element using AI to help us close more deals. Okay, at the end of that, we go back to AI and say, how was the analyzer, which I have? Let me tell you about your sales call. This is what you did good. This is what you did bad. This is what you didn't do good. I'm giving you instant feedback. So if I give you instant feedback, and you can look and say, here's what you've done great. Here's where you need to work on. And actually, here's some examples of how to do that better. Now I'm training the human. AI is training the human to get better at their skill. What we're doing is we're both sides. We've got AI working in the front end. We've got the human element in the beginning, and then we got the coaching at the end, because it's hearing and it's able to help you develop better skills. You take those skills, you learn it, you're going to see your close rate improve because you're getting instant coaching. We're also training it that, man, AI's over here going, Jeremy gave me 5 leads just like this. This is our right ICP. I can now give that back to Jeremy, and he can go find me more, and I'm closing more deals. That's the beauty of the way it works. That's a process fixed and working with a human element and an AI element.
Yeah, I love it, because now I can see it, because it kind of comes in the front. The human does whatever it does. There's no one riding the van with them anymore, so the AI will be the guide and the coach and everything else that helps them. That's cool, man.
Right.
So that's we'll get to your service as well, like your offering. So I just want to touch on your podcast a little bit. So is that what you talk about as well in your podcast?
Yeah, so process over pressure is something I created actually to give back to the industry. Being an executive, I was always the guy that hired the marketing people to come in to work with us, and the consultants and all that. And one of the things when I created this company is I want to be able to give back and have a voice for entrepreneurs to hear and say, man, that resonated with me. And kind of, so what we talk about is real world, real raw, what it's like being an owner. Up times when I said, you know what, the heck with it, I'm walking away from it, almost quit, and then just the real truth of what it's like being in that shoes. I kind of shared a little bit about it on the show about being raw and being authentic. And the hopes is that people hear it and they go, okay, this is helpful. This has helped me. I wanted to give up, but I just need to do a little more. Or maybe I just need to get my refocus a little bit better. Or maybe, I'm trying to do more of this, and this is not my strong suit. I'm better at this, and I need to look for somebody over here. And that's really what it is it's process over pressure, because I'm a firm believer that pressure is only because a broken process. And so the more process we have in place, the more who we are and define, the better that pressure is going to be reduced, because we're doing the things that we're good at.
I got you. No, you do have a, I would say, like, because I guess I kind of read into this stuff a bit more, and I think that you do have a very calming voice. Do you know what I mean? Like it kind of like brings like invites openness.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah, which is good. I don't know if you practiced it or you just always naturally had it during your teaching days.
You know, I think it's just a gift. I think that I've been blessed with the gift of doing that, and I get very passionate, very excited about helping companies when I get that opportunity to do that. I look at myself like I'm a part of that company, and to see it succeed, and to see, I think there's nothing more joyful than to see the owners of those companies and the people, that pressure starting to reduce off of them, and they're starting to really enjoy what they're doing, and they're happy again. Yeah. Like, I love to see that. I love to help people. I like to help people find their purpose and get excited about their company again, and really
or re-excited, finding back what they got them there in the first place. No, that's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
In terms of like how do people contact you, and so it's on stoneflyconsulting.com, right?
Yep.
So, and I know you're active on LinkedIn as well. So what's working with you actually like? So just say someone signed up, I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm sure they go through a process, and they'd be like, all right, let's engage, let's work this out. Like what happens from there?
Yeah, so typically, my website, stoneflyconsulting.com, is the easiest. There's a place on there that they could book a call. Mm-hmm. And usually what I do is I love to do discovery call. I really just like to learn about their business, what they're doing. Yeah. Typically, if I have their website, I do a lot of before. Again, I'd like to know a little bit about the person before we get on there. And then, so that way we're really spending that 30 minutes, 45 minutes talking about I'll ask some questions to kind of lead them, and really want to discover where there could be the flaws at, where it's at, and then from there it's kind of what I do typically is give them a synopsis of what I've uncovered in that one call. Mm-hmm. I give them some here's some next steps to talk about, or hey, we need to dig a little deeper over here. And then at that point, they get that, and it's their decision whether they want to engage or they don't. I don't. I want them to feel happy being with me and see that I'm taking interest in that. But I don't charge them to sit down and have a conversation. It's more of, I don't know if I can help you if I don't have a conversation with you to hear what your needs are. So how can I charge you for something that I don't even know if I'm the right fit? And I'm very honest. If I'm not the person for you, I have a great network of people. I refer you to somebody that can. I know what I'm really good at, and I know the areas that I can refer out. So I try I try to treat people just like I was the guy hiring them before. So I know, I didn't want people to waste people's time. I wanted to give them real resources that would be beneficial for them. Yeah,
no, love it. Cool, man. Do you think that anything that we haven't covered today? Because I'm looking at my notes and our pre-call. I feel like we hit everything.
I do. I think it's been great. I think it's been a lot of fun being on here and talking through this. And
no, it's good. I definitely learned something because it's always like, so I'll give you an example, right? So at the moment, user-generated content, right? Like influencer marketing content, everything is getting AI'd away or whatever, right? Yeah. But not all of it. So sometimes people are figuring out, people are experimenting with let's just AI the hands bit. Then the head comes back in as a human, But let's AI the hands bit, let's AI the body bits. So they try to remove as much as they can. And they all try to figure out where the AI has to stop and human comes back in. But I never figured that out with sales. So today you've helped me explain it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people. See, look, I say this. I think AI is hot. It's popular. It's all over the place, and it's changing. It gets better every day. There's different tools, and I tell people all the time. They're like, "Well, I just I can do that. I get on and I'll buy this stack, or I'll buy this one or this one, and we'll just like SEO is the big one, right? Everybody has we'll create your SEO. Well, and they can. And you certainly can, and you spend $100 a month to do that, but you don't get the results because listen. If you don't think that if you go and buy an app that does SEO, that same SEO that it's figuring out is the same one that everybody else is putting into it, so it's giving you the same thing as 15 other people, it's not making you any different. And I think people are trying to say this, and I know we got to go, but
No, we're good.
we live in a world of instant, quick gratification. We want to be now. We want to start a business tomorrow and be a $15-20 million. The reality of that is that it takes time, and it takes a process, and it takes a development. And I can share you, if you get an easy button, there's no such thing as easy button. What there is there's a very good way to help reduce your time spent, so you're doing time spent what you're really good at. That is possible. But if you're trying to be an easy pick button where you just plug in two things and it automatically does everything for you, that's not reality right now. It don't mean it won't, but there's too many variations to do that right.
Yeah, and it won't happen. No, I love it. Chad, thanks, man, for coming on the show. I really learned a lot of stuff from you today.
Jeremy, thank you, man. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, what's up? Jeremy Yang, the online ads guy here, owner of Digital Goliath Marketing. If you found whatever you're watching helpful, you found it interesting, like, subscribe, comment, suggest other topics you think we should cover here. We've aimed to release weekly episodes, helping SMEs with marketing, advertising, talking to professionals about growth, processes, all that good stuff. All right, see you on the next one.